Today, we're going to make some amazing steaks right in the comfort of our home kitchen. Welcome back, guys. I'm Keegan with Seared and Smoked. We're all about building better barbecue so you can share that love with your friends and family. And today, instead of being outside, we're actually bringing the love inside because it's terrible outside now in Iowa. It is so cold. But no matter the weather, sometimes I just crave that delicious medium rare steak, nice caramelized crust on the outside, salt and pepper permeating throughout. And I just gotta have it today, so we're gonna get it done one way or another. You may have seen this curveball coming, but yes, we are gonna sous vide these steaks. All you need is one kitchen gadget to get you over the hump. You probably have everything else needed to make amazing steaks right in your home kitchen, the easy way. And I say easy way because sous vide is really one of the easiest ways to make a restaurant quality steak no matter what the time of the year is. However, I usually turn to it in the winter. These little sous vide kitchen gadgets range from around $100 to $200 and above, but you can easily get it done with the models that are in the 100 to 150 range. The one I use is around 150, and it's super easy to use. You can use an app, but really you set it and forget it. There's no reason to really even use an app with this process. It's so easy. Before we prep our steaks, we're gonna go ahead and get our water baths set up. These systems are really easy to use. All you need is a large pasta pot and you're pretty much ready to go. We're gonna go ahead and set up for 124 degrees, which is gonna give us a nice medium rare after we sear our steaks. At this low of temperature, you don't really need to wrap it in foil, but it does help conserve the heat and just makes it more efficient. Today I picked out a couple nice New York strips from the butcher. Now they're a nice all-around steak for all purposes, but they're really great for sous vide as well. They have a nice fat marbling to them, which always lends itself to more flavor, but they're also a nice steak that's not going to fall apart after it's been in the sous vide bath for an hour and a half or so. If you choose a ribeye, for instance, if you leave it in there for an hour and a half, sometimes when you pull it out, that fat cap on top is going to try to pull away from it, making it kind of a tricky situation and maybe not the best presentation for your guests. And before we put these in the water bath, we're going to season them generously. We're going to keep it real simple today. We're using a good amount of sea salt, a touch of granulated garlic or garlic powder, whichever you have on hand, and then we're going to finish it off with some seasoned pepper. If you're not familiar with what that is, I use Lowry's seasoned pepper, and just has a few other spices in it besides your standard black pepper, which gives the steak an amazing flavor. You can use it on burgers, chicken, basically anything. I use a ton of it throughout the year. Go ahead and season the other side of the steaks just the same way, and then you're ready for the water bath. And if you're down south and you're wondering like, oh, how cold is it? How come you can't grill outside? Because it really is that cold. Here's some footage of my friend Todd and his kids throwing water in the air outside, boiling water I might add.
Whoa! Holy crap!
That's why we're staying inside today. And after you get those steaks seasoned up just the way you want them, wrap each steak in a Ziploc bag. Before you put the Ziploc bag in the water bath, try to get as much air out of the bag as possible, which is going to make it easier to sink those steaks in the water. As you submerge the steaks in the water, it's handy if you have a straw. It's not absolutely necessary, but it does make it a little easier to get the air out of the bag. After a couple minutes of goofing around with the bag and pushing the steak down towards the bottom, you'll get it to seal up quite nicely. I also found out during this process that 124 degree water is tolerable on my hands. I wouldn't have thought that going into this. After you get your steaks in the water bath and cover it back up with foil, go ahead and set a timer for about 1 hour for every inch of steak. So in this case, about an hour will be fine. Now that you have your steaks in the sous vide, you could do a lot of things. You could take a shower, you could go to the grocery store, maybe even take a quick nap. Today we're going to take a little of that time to make a compound butter, which we're going to use to finish off these steaks. If you're not familiar with a compound butter, it's essentially butter mixed with something. You can use garlic or any sort of herbs you want, and today I'm going to use parsley. If I don't want something really overwhelming, it's kind of my go-to for steaks. So we have our steaks out of the water bath. They're just kind of resting right now. It's okay, they can sit there for up to 10 or 15 minutes, it's just fine. And some keys as we're finishing these off, you want a really nice hot pan. And a thicker, heavier pan is better. You don't have to use a cast iron, but it definitely could. I'm using one that kind of mimics cast iron. It's non-stick, but very thick, still nice and heavy, and that's what you're looking for to get a good sear. Nice, hot, heavy pan. And it's almost better if the steaks sit there for a few minutes just so the exterior dries out. It's gonna give you a better crust as you put it in the hot pan. You want kind of a cooler, dry surface for all meats if you're going into a hot pan with oil in it. And today, we're gonna be using avocado oil, which is a very high smoke point oil. That basically means your steak's not gonna be in burnt oil as you sear it off, which wouldn't give any good flavor to anything. And of course, we're gonna have our little compound butter that's gonna make it amazing. If you don't have avocado oil, another one I like to use is peanut oil. Either way, you wanna get the pan nice and hot, so it starts to smoke just a little bit right before you drop the steaks in. If you have the pan nice and hot, you really only want to sear this for about a minute on each side. Before you flip it, just go ahead and check to make sure you get a really nice browning, nice flavor crust on that steak before you flip it. As you're hitting about that minute mark on the second side, go ahead and use a generous amount of that compound butter on each steak. These steaks would have been good without the compound butter, but this is just going to take them to the next level. Minus some little technical difficulties with my gas burner, this went really well. These look beautiful, but now's the true test. It's time for the meat sweats. All right, so I think we nailed the medium rare. It's right where I want it. Now let's see if the flavor's there. All right, now that steak beats about any outdoor steak I've ever had. So if you're in the mood for a steak and it's winter or you just want to stay indoors, definitely give this a shot. Valentine's Day, whatever you're doing, this steak's a winner. And if you really enjoyed this video, definitely check out these other two videos I've picked out for you, all about steak as well. And we'll be doing more steak videos in the future, especially as the warm weather ramps up. See it Seared and Smoked, where we're always building better barbecue so you can share that love on a plate for your family.